So we're going to talk a little bit about World War II. And did you enlist or were you drafted?
Well, I was drafted. I went to the draft board and said, here. I had spent about a year and a half in the Michigan State Troops and got a little experience there, and then I went into the Army.
What were you doing at that time, before that, prior to that? Were you in school? Or?
Yes, I was in school.
Mm-hmm. And what year was it that you were drafted?
1943.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about that experience. Where did you go once you...
Well, let's see. We went to Camp Custer, and from there we were divided up into for the physicals and various examinations, and then we were just split up. You go here, you go there, and you go there, and got put on a train and wound up in North Carolina at Camp Butner. And there I was sent to the 303rd Engineer Battalion, which is part of the 78th Division. And we did our basic training there and went through several field maneuvers, Tennessee maneuvers and in Virginia. And then in October of '44, we were on a boat heading for England. And from there, we crossed the Channel and to the Belgian border, and just as the Battle of Bulge began. And we were on the southern flank, and that was our first duty to booby trap and mine the southern flank. And everybody was pressed into service, and one of the truck drivers who was helping out, setting booby traps, stumbled a little bit and blew his legs off and died on the way. That was really our first fatality. And it was rather interesting on the first day, as we were the morning of the 13th of December, as we were marching down the road. The shells started coming in, and there were some infantrymen in the field that passed previously, and one of them was kind of moaning a little bit, and one of our non-coms, it hadn't been too long before that, we went through this business of probing for mines with a bayonet, and so he pulled his bayonet and started crawling in there, and he set one off, and he was blinded. So then we had a bulldozer attached to company headquarters. He went in and pulled everybody out, and so that was our first experience. And
you're right into it then.
Oh yeah, that was it. And I went in as a squad leader that day, and at the end of the day I was a platoon sergeant, because our platoon sergeant was injured too, and our platoon leader was injured. So for 3 days I was the platoon leader until they got a lieutenant in there. And then after that, it was kind of touch and go for a while. We were pretty fortunate. We didn't have too many people in our battalion or in our company that were hurt too bad. There were a few of them that were killed. But when I don't know if you remember that dam, the Schwammanuel Dam, that had to be taken so that they couldn't flood the Ruhr Valley. Well, that was our objective. I should say the division's objective, not ours. Right. And of course we were part of that, and that was our introduction to tree bursts, which is shells coming in that detonate when they hit the treetops. And we had just dug in, and I was in a two-man foxhole, and when we both ran for it and jumped in, and my partner was killed, not killed, but he was wounded pretty bad, and I didn't get a scratch. And when I went to look for our platoon medic, who was situated maybe 50 yards away, he was laying face down in his trench with a big hole in his neck. So we had to wait for a jeep to come along and evacuate my buddy. And then after the dam was taken, the next objective, of course, was the crossing the Rhine River. And elements of our division were among the first to cross the bridge when it was found. And our own detachment, we were attached to various, we went from 1st Army to 9th Army to 7th Army and wherever we were needed. And well, we crossed on the bridge while it was still intact, and then headed, let's see, I think we headed east, I think we headed north. And that was about it. That was the end, close to the end anyway. And I guess it wasn't too many weeks after the bridge was crossed that the war ended. And my personal experience, I happened just before the war ended. Of course, they give R&R passes, and I got a 3-day pass to go to the French Riviera. And while I was there, the war ended. And when I come back, a few months later, I got another 3-day pass and went to Paris. And while I was there, Japanese surrendered. So both times I was in places where we could celebrate.
You should have taken more R&R.
Sounds like R&R was a good thing for you.
So outside of that, I don't know. We keep in touch with our buddies while we can or while we could.
Right.
And I have a few pictures here. I don't know what good they do or anything.
We'll do those in a minute. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah,
So did you feel prepared before you got over there?
Oh yes, yeah, we were pretty well prepared. We were not rushed in. We stayed with the division, and we became a cadre and trained people. And as soon as they finished their basic training, they were shipped overseas as replacements. And just before we went overseas, we got a bunch of replacements from the ASTP, Army Specialized Training Program, that they were sending these guys that were intelligent for further training, and that program was disbanded when they saw that the war was coming to a close and they needed more infantrymen.
Right.
So they were sent to infantry divisions. And we got about 8 of those in our company, and they were distributed through the engineers and also in the infantry.
So what was your role?
I was a platoon sergeant.
What was your platoon doing?
We cleared mines off roads and set up minefields in front of the lines and put up concertina wire. And this one time, about the 16th or 17th of December, they strung out, the division had a long line to defend, and our company had to put up minefields in front of their lines. So my platoon was on one end and the second platoon was on the other end. We were given azimuths to follow, to lay our mines, and the Lord would have it, we met. And it was pitch dark, of course, so we had no way of knowing if we were going to meet. But it worked out fine. And other than that, we strung concertina wire, and after the the mines. That's stringing two down and one on top.
So once you moved through an area, did you have to take it back out again?
No, other
Okay.
troops did that.
So your main was ready to
Yeah, we just kept going, and of course we were the demolition men too, and we had to each infantry company had a squad of engineers assigned to them, and our whole company was assigned to a battalion. And whenever they needed some pillboxes blown or anything, we had to send men out with TNT and to blow them up if we could. And not in our platoon, but one of the other platoons lost a couple of men killed doing that. And but I was rather fortunate; didn't get a scratch anywhere.
That is remarkable.
It's very fortunate.
Yeah, I'll say that. It's an experience that I think, personally, if everybody could come out the same way I did and not be hurt and live through what we lived through, I think it's an experience that every man should go through,
right.
Or if possible. As long as they don't get hurt.
That's the problem. People don't get hurt. Yeah.
It is a life's experience. But,
What was so special about that?
Yeah. What did it do to you?
Yeah.
It's a bonding. You learn to depend on your the guy to your right and the guy to your left, and if they have a job to do and they're hurt or something, you got to take over what they're doing, and you got to know. Especially in our line, usually if they're carrying explosives, one man has the explosives, another man has the primate cord that sets it off, another one carries the little how soon we forget.
That's all right.
The explosive device that sets it off, and so if somebody gets hurt, you got to go over and carry on for him, and
so it gets you close to these people like nothing else does.
Yes. You live with them, you sleep with them, you eat with them, and slosh through the mud with them, and the snow, and the ice, and the cold. And freeze with them, and that particular winter was a cold winter.
So you're challenged to the maximum.
Yes. And it gets you to appreciate a shower, a hot shower, because from the 22nd of December till just after the 1st of January, we were constantly online doing something or other before you could get back and get a good shower. And those areas were always protected, of course, and everybody liked their hot shower and a clean suit of clothes.
Did you do anything for Christmas, or?
Nothing special.
You just kept on going.
Yeah, well, it was kind of stationary then.
Right. Okay.
Nobody was making too much advances because that's when the real push was starting on the Bulge, and we were more or less in a defensive position, but you couldn't leave it.
So were you in the hedgerows at all, or?
Not in the hedgerows. That was in France.
Right.
No, we went through the pillboxes and anyway, the pillboxes that had to be dismantled, and
Did you have enough warm winter clothing since you were replacements, or no?
Yes, we did, and I think almost everybody did, except the guys that were isolated for a while, that were kind of separated from the units, and their clothes were wet, and it's kind of hard to dry them out. with body heat. So.
So did this affect your career path after you were done, or?
I really had no career path.
Okay.
But after I came home, because my father was in the plumbing business, and so I kind of fell into that. And I tried it for a while, and then the building business kind of slowed down, and then my brother-in-law talked me into becoming a policeman in Detroit, which I did for 2 years. And then I went back into plumbing and spent the rest of my life doing that.
Well, that's an important part of it.
Yeah.
Keeping things working.
And then, of course, pardon me, keeping in touch with a few fellas that you really become close to, and I guess this year, I guess, is about the last time there'll be a division reunion.
Well, that's what I've been hearing,
it's becoming less and less. About 10, 15 years ago, our division kind of, I guess you'd call it, went into a brotherhood with the German division that we fought crossing the bridge, the 272nd Volksgrenadier. And so they sent people over here for our reunions, and we sent people over there for their reunions. And it's amazing how after everything's over, how close you can become to one another. And
did you go back again after?
I didn't myself, no.
Okay.
But every year there's we have a division association, and about every other year there's a reunion going over to Europe, and there's generally 20 to 30 that go. But it's, of course, I had relatives over there, and which I got to see right after the war, but I couldn't see any point in going back myself.
Where were your relatives located? In Germany? Or?
Yes, in Germany. With a name like Schmidt.
Oh, well, that's, just double checking. Could be Austria.
So I got to see an aunt and uncle that I had never seen. And my cousin, he was killed on the Eastern Front, so I never saw him.
So I was at a group last night, and there was a woman who's 84, and she says, "How are you ever going to end war?" So, do you have an answer for that one?
Well, I think if you saw All Quiet on the Western Front, the original version, Gregory Radoff, I think, was a sergeant in the American Army or the German Army, I forget which it is. But he had this thing solved. He says, get all the politicians and put them in a roped-off ring and let them fight to the last man.
Get the politics out of it, right.
Let the politicians do it.
Yeah, let them do it, instead of sending the average person out there to do something.
So that's something I always remember, that remark that he made.
Do you feel that was an important thing for you to do at that time? No.
Oh yes, yeah, I do. And it's something. So he had to be stopped.
Right.
And Japan, of course, attacked, and I don't know. I think the fellas that fought Japan probably had a worse time of it than we did in the European theater. I mean, they had it consistently, and going from island to island to island, always on the offensive. Right. And so in a way, I was always thankful that I wasn't sent over there, although our division was alerted to go there before the Japanese surrendered and we were starting training. And of course, everything came to a halt, and everybody with points said, send me home. So.
Did you go home soon, or did you stay there long?
I was discharged in January, so I was there for about 4 months after the wars ended.
What do you think that young people today need to know about this experience that they probably don't?
Well, I don't know. There are times when I think that, from what I see around here, a good stint in the service is something that can straighten a lot of people out that are having their problems, whether they be mental or physical. Even though some of the people that are coming back now are having mental problems,
Right.
but that's brought on by the war. But like I said, if they could go through a couple of years in the service and not be hurt, they learn discipline
Right.
and appreciate their brothers and
Yeah.
sisters now.
Right. Yeah, you get that sense of community.
Yes.
And that's really important.
Like there's always a rivalry, like our
Yeah.
division insignia is a lightning, and
Right.
you see somebody with another insignia, you know, there's always a gentle rivalry there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
never anything serious, but
Were you able to share this with your children? Did you have children? Or?
no, it's a funny thing. My wife even brought that out. Never said too much about it, and then in 2000, the year 2000, I went to the first division reunion, and there, of course, the wives went along, and they were sitting in one room, and we were sitting in the other room, and she said they were kind of quiet, just listening to us, and we were reliving things amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
But and when my wife was talking to the other wives, they said it was about the same thing. And it's only been lately now that, well, I guess Tom Brokaw kind of broke the ice,
Yeah.
and people started talking more.
Yeah, my father never said anything, you know, and till the very
Well,
end.
it's a scary thing at first. Like my wife said, there's many times that I woke up in a sweat and shouting, and she wondered what was going on, and but outside of that, it wasn't too bad.
You just didn't think about it that much.